2 weeks ago, no one wanted to say the word ceasefire. No one wanted to talk about de-escalation. People wanted to talk about war.
From Illinois to Washington, protesters calling for Congress and the White House to seek an end to the violence in the Israeli-Hamas war. Some lawmakers calling for ceasefire.
I think it speaks to what we're seeing just across the country. People from all over saying the same thing. You don't get to peace by bombing.
Representative Delia Ramirez co-signing a resolution calling on Biden to facilitate a ceasefire and humanitarian assistance into Gaza, signed by 17 other Democrats in the House of Representatives. Senator Durbin being the first and only one in the Senate calling for a ceasefire under the condition of the release of the hostages. This coming as the death toll passes 10,000 among the Palestinians and 1,400 among the Israelis. Numbers from the Gaza Health Ministry, President Biden stated last month he has no confidence in. Monday, his administration announcing a $320 million transfer of precision bombs for Israel, the IDF saying it's taking efforts to minimize harm to civilians.
When Hamas embeds its rockets, its missiles, its military in civilian structures, and civilians don't follow the advice of the Israeli military to move to a different location, there are going to be civilian casualties. Again, that's very tragic.
Israel striking Gaza's refugee camps, schools, churches, and ambulances, moves its military says to kill Hamas militants.
Looking at Gaza, there is no reasonable way that you can tell people to get out of the way because there's no place to go.
Protesters demonstrating at Democratic lawmakers' offices, pushing for them to sign the ceasefire resolution.
So many of the same Democrats who are refusing to call for ceasefire right now, who are willing to stay silent and effectively line up behind the war machine at this moment, have called out this Israeli government before.
A majority of Democratic lawmakers supporting Biden's goal for humanitarian pauses.
A pause means what exactly? It means you pause for some trucks to come in with humanitarian aid only to return by firing laser-guided missiles into residential buildings.
Critics of the ceasefire saying it may only help Hamas replenish its weaponry.
But gotta be very careful that we're not just building the Hamas war machine.
Others saying simply ending Hamas is not a lasting solution.
What we need to focus on is how do we create a truly humanitarian system within Israel-Palestine that respects the rights of Israeli Jews and of Palestinians.
Prime Minister Netanyahu considering tactical little pauses for humanitarian aid, but no ceasefire without the hostages. But for some, a ceasefire, the only option.
A humanitarian pause, to me, still equals genocide. When you call for a ceasefire, you are taking a side with humanity.
Reporting from Washington, Luis Castaneda, the Deal News Service.